Welcome to Vintage Coin Op Restorations and one of our latest projects. If you've been following me on Facebook or my YouTube channel, you would have to go back pretty far to find out when we started this project. In fact, before I just looked at this video, I actually looked back where it all started, and it started about 7 years ago. We started off with a machine that a client found. It was a Mike Munvey's conversion. And what they did was take the original 1941 Evans Tommy gun, and somewhere down the line they said, you know what, this doesn't look very cool anymore. Let's put it in a pinball cabinet and add some features to it and call it a different game. And that's exactly what they did. Well, fortunately, my client came across this and he's like, I think it's a Tommy gun. Kind of looks like one, at least the gun, which was a telltale sign, and that drum on the top of the machine. And so from there, we started off with a machine that, okay, let's bring it back to look like a Tommy gun. Well, that's great, but it's good to have one to follow it, to copy, to figure out how it actually originally was. And at the time when I saw the original one that Mike Munvey's did, I was just like, well, maybe that's just the way it is. Until we came across a second Tommy gun, and from there we ended up purchasing it, and from there restoring it. But only to find out that the actual mechanism inside that tube was the original on the second one, and the first one had a lot of things that were changed. Mike Munvey's brought back to life many early arcade machines, redid them to make them a little better. And at the same time, there were machines that might have been broken down, and they had text there to say, there's all about one thing, making money. What can we do to this machine to make some more money? The stand's missing. Let's put it into something else. So that's what it is. And in my final video, I'll do a kind of little pictures of exactly how everything was when we found it. Tommy gun came in two versions. One, which is the most common, is with no stand like this. It was basically a heavy, round base with a stem, and the actual tube just sat on it. Obviously, we like the stand that's in the Flyer much, much better. I can't say I've ever seen a Tommy gun with this cabinet. This cabinet was pretty much manufactured from sight on a Evans logo, an advertisement for the machine. So I have never seen an actual cabinet of any sort, except just the ones that people have turned from that Flyer into the cabinet. And that's exactly what we did. It's a pretty cool game here. What you're basically doing, the year's 1941, and you are shooting at Nazi airplanes flying across the screen here. And you're flying it, shooting it with, I guess, doesn't look like a Tommy gun, but that's what they're coming around saying, it's a Tommy gun. Here on the instructions, it's saying for 5 cents, you have 300 shots. Well, both machines are the same, but a little bit different. Our Mike Munvey's game, which I believe here's on my right, this one, they added a let's call it a flight counter, and it's also set up like a timer. So you roughly got about a minute in here of airplanes flying around, and you're shooting them. So you got more than 300 shots. Here on the left, this one has a bell timer. It has the original bell timer, and from the notes of the machine, it plays like it was, originally set for about 4 minutes. And from there, you can get a high score, I believe, of 92 or 9,400 points, as you see up on top. Once you get to 1,000, like this one, we stopped at 7,000 points, and it just goes on from there. So they're both the same, but a little bit different. Also, I believe on the Mike Munvey's, at the time the game was kind of boring because it really had no sounds. The only sound it did have, which was pretty cool for the time, was the rat-a-tat. You saw it in the Keeney anti-aircraft, Keeney air raider, And in fact, Evans, at one time, they had to have bought Keeney, or Keeney bought Evans, because the Rat-A-Tat mechanism is basically identical to both companies, but totally wired different. That's depending on how they were going to power this. The original is basically a 20-volt machine. It's running, and 20 volt meaning all the lights, everything inside there's 20 volt. You have the hit light and the actual running lights are 110. Now Mike Mumvies, because they added in here this a flight counter or a timer that every time the cylinder inside the drum turns, it actually counts, a second or a tick, and there's a stepper unit inside there. So not only did you have the Rat-A-Tat, they added a bell. So every time you hit, you actually got a hit, you get a bell in this model over here. So the cabinets are complete reproductions. The graphics, however, are identical to the original. What else can I tell you about it? Here on the right, as you can see, I don't have the end of the gun on it, and when you shoot, you have a little light, and the light flashes as you pull the trigger. There is a video out there of a Tommy gun that actually has a projected light that goes onto the screen. As far as I know, that cannot be original, because basically the closest thing to this machine for eyesight would be basically this crosshair that you have to get right smack in the center. And if you get it in the center and you line it up to the plane, it shoots. Well, you're only about 2 feet away from the screen, so I don't think you really needed a sight to follow this airplane. And if you notice, if you're following the sight, you probably, I'm gonna say about an inch and a quarter difference. Meaning that if you were gonna shoot the gun and the light came out of, your beam light came out of the nose right here, you would be off 2 inches as it got projected here, because you have the eyesight that's above it. Gameplay for the time must have been incredible, but as I play it, and I've been playing it a lot, it's like any other early EM gun game. Once you find the little sweet spot, you know how to get it, you can progress pretty quick with it. But the big thing about this, it is something to walk up to. It shows itself. Look at me, you got to play me. And at that time, this is exactly what it was made to do. And I'm sure these machines, people were throwing nickels in to play these things all day long. So basically you got this beautiful tube. The front is your coin mech, pushes inside. And here is a timer, bell timer. And the other machine, we haven't actually not exactly sure how we're gonna get it to start the machine, but we do have it so that once it is started, we have a counter in there that tells you how long the game will play. The cylinder on top houses a drum, and the drum turns around and it has cutouts where you have these Nazi airplanes that are basically taped to the back of a drum. Up on top, this lid comes off and you have access to the drum. There's a light bulb in there that is constantly on, and then there's a hit light, which is red, that sits at the bottom of the drum. When you actually have a hit, the white light that you see as the planes are turning turns off, and for a brief second, the hit light will show red. So you see it coming through the window, and it gives you the feeling that you actually hit the airplane. Now, with all this going on, we did come around, we did embellish here and there. Nothing that most people can see, but we did embellish it with an audio card. And I am gonna kind of turn off the light here so you can see. We'll plug in the left one here. At this time, both machines are set for You could put a nickel in there and actually drop a nickel into the coin box on both of them, but they're set for free play. At this time, we do not have the complete 5-cent coin mech for this particular coin mech. So here we go. I'm gonna try to play this game with one arm, or in fact, yeah, let me try doing that. And here we go. It's hard to do with one hand. Well, you know what? I don't think I can do it with my one hand. I just had shoulder surgery and I am not able to do it. But if you give me a second, I will set this up. All right, sorry about that, but I had to take the nose cone off so I could reach in there and actually push the deck. The deck right now I have loose inside here, so as I push the coin mech, all I did was just push the mech further into the tube. So here we go. I'm gonna reach my hand in and we're gonna start her up. So these are the airplanes flying by. Here we have the audio card playing, and it will play as long as the game is running. Until it ends, it will turn off automatically. There's a volume switch, and if you choose not to listen to it, you just turn it off. So here we go. Let's see if we can get some hits. Basically what you're doing is you're trying to obviously shoot this plane. But you have the opportunity to shoot this airplane flying by 6 times. Underneath the gun, there's a finger that has 6 little brass fingers that when it makes contact at the far, let's call it number 1 position, there's 2, there's 3, 4, 5, and 6. So every time you shoot it, it takes a second or so for it to reset, turn white, so you can hit it again. So is it possible to get 6 shots? It's pretty rare, but if you're moving at the same speed as that flying, I think we've got like 3 hits on a pass, but never 6. But it's pretty cool to see these planes flying. Now I'm going to turn off the lights so we can see it a little bit better in the shop. As the drum turns, there's a finger, and that finger turns on that light every time it passes. Now, as I shoot, you'll see more red lights down there at the bottom. And when you get a hit, let me switch my hand here, get closer. When I pull the trigger, you get, there's 2 red lights flashing. When I get a hit on the top, it flashes again. It's about, I think last time I checked, about 4 minutes long. Let's turn some lights back on. We've got some high-tech camera going on here. But there you have it. If you have a Tommy gun for sale, or if you need one restored, please give us a call. We're located in Chicago, Illinois. Our phone number is area code 630-624-7466. Stay tuned for our final video of Evan's Tommy gun when we go over both of them in a little more detail than we just did. Thanks for watching.